again. And one thing about greyhounds is they've always lived with other hounds, and many people find that they can be a little bit addictive. So having had one greyhound, they may soon find themselves coming up to the kennels again to find a friend for their first one. And it's common that people ask for a girl if they had a boy the first time, or a boy if they had a girl the first time, but it really depends on the individual personality of the dog. Boys can live with boys, girls can live with girls. So consider the personality of your hound, what they like and dislike, what they like around food, what they like around their bed and with other dogs. And what's important is to find a dog that meets the needs of your first dog and the rest of your family. So when you come to view some dogs to find a friend for your first dog, take your muzzle with you, because it's best that the dogs meet initially with their muzzles on so everyone can be sure that they're going to be safe. At the kennels, they'll introduce you to some dogs that seem suited to your needs, and it's best to try and meet the dog at least twice before they come home with you. You could take short walks with them during the reservation period, and it might even be possible for them to come and spend a few hours at your home so you can all get to know the other dog together at the house, which is sometimes a cause of problems when they're on your current dog's territory. It might also be useful to take them to the park if that's possible, maybe with one of the volunteers, so you can get a feel for what it's like to walk two dogs if you've only had one before, and to see how that dog reacts around your dog in a more unusual setting when stranger things might take place. So once you've made your decision and you reserve your new hound and it's time to be preparing to bring them home, think about how you're all going to travel. It might not be wise for the two dogs to travel home together on that first journey, and it may be better for someone to stay at home with your first dog while someone else goes to collect the new one from the kennels on that first day. If you are going to take both at once, think about how you're going to travel them. Will they go in the boot together? Will they fit on the back seat? How you're going to make sure everybody's safe. You also need to prepare the house, setting up for the new dog just as you did for your first one, adding in new beds, making sure there's space for everybody. And I would put away any really exciting things, so any squeaky toys might be best put to one side for now until the new dog settles in. You can reintroduce those later. So remember, your new dog is going to need to go through the same settling in process as your first dog did, and everything is going to be new to them, and it's all going to be a little bit stressful. So it's best to keep them both muzzled initially, just in case there are any issues that you hadn't anticipated. And when it comes to bring them home for real, then it's best to meet outside if you haven't travelled together. So you could meet out on the pavement, maybe go for a short walk to let them settle into it, walking with each other, and then come into the house and garden together, and give the new dog time to settle, time to explore, and to find their feet in that space. I would keep the beds well apart so they're not obliged to sit next to each other. You'll learn over time whether they prefer to cuddle up or whether they prefer to have their own separate beds. So when you're introducing a second dog into the home, things that are most likely to cause conflict are going to revolve around resources, and that could be food, it could be beds, it could be your attention, it could be toys, it could be treats. So these are times when you need to take particular care to supervise the dogs. When it comes to feeding, this is a particularly high risk time. In the kennels, the dogs probably were fed with their kennel mate, but they probably had to make sure they got all of their food in case it was stolen. So be prepared for the dogs to eat quite fast and want to go and check out the other bowl as soon as they've finished. So I would recommend you stand in between them and have them well spaced out, perhaps even in different rooms, to make sure there can be no arguing over food. And I would never let a dog get its nose into another dog's bowl until that other dog had walked away and left its bowl behind. When it comes to beds, this is also a place that you might have issues. If your first dog has a favourite bed, then I would encourage the new dog to sleep in a different place, and you'll soon get to know whether they want to share or whether they need more space. Certainly when it comes to sleeping at night, it could be as well to segregate them in some way, maybe with baby gates or separate rooms, if you're not going to be sleeping them in the same room as you. And in fact, absences in themselves are also risky times. So if they're sleeping downstairs and you're upstairs, you may wish to put muzzles on if they can get to each other, just in case there's an argument in the night. It's not uncommon for there to be some little teething troubles in terms of deciding who gets to have which bed between the two of them. And of course, if you need to go out when you start to leave them together, if you're not keeping them in separate spaces, again, it's only going to be sensible to muzzle them initially until they get used to staying together. So I hope that you found that useful. If you're considering getting another dog, some of the things that you might need to consider before bringing a second dog into the home. And if you haven't thought about getting a second dog, please do consider it, because greyhounds really do love to have another hound to live with. That's all for today. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now. Or in Maggie's case, because she's going to chew the furniture. Yes. And she's going to eat the filler that I put in where she chews the furniture.